Have you ever laid awake at night, convinced you heard something that shouldn't be there? For Clara, the sounds were not just a feeling. They were a nightly torment, a rhythmic scrape and drag from the one place they couldn't possibly be coming from. In the oppressive silence of her small apartment, her eyes would snap open. Darkness pressed in from all corners, but her attention was fixed on the ceiling. A heavy, labored dragging echoed from above, a sound like dead weight being pulled across a wooden floor. A cold knot of anxiety would tighten in her stomach as she listened. Her breath held tight in her chest, waiting for it to stop. But it never did. Night after night, the disturbance returned, a malevolent punctuation mark to the city's nocturnal hum. Clara would pull her blankets tighter, burying her head under a pillow, but the sound seemed to seep through the very walls, growing in intensity. It was a relentless scrape, drag. Moonlight would slice through her blinds, illuminating her pale face as she stared up at the plaster, her imagination painting terrifying pictures of what could be making such a noise. Sleep became a luxury she could no longer afford, each creak from her building setting her teeth on edge, her mind perpetually stuck on the apartment directly above hers. The following morning, exhausted and on edge, Clara cornered her landlord in the dimly lit hallway. She explained the nightly sounds, the heavy dragging that robbed her of sleep and peace. He offered a dismissive smile, his keys jangling as he patronized her. "The apartment upstairs? Unit 4B has been empty for months, dear," he assured her, his tone leaving no room for argument. "It's an old building. Pipes rattle, the foundation settles. You're probably just hearing things." Her frustration mounted, curdling into a specific kind of fear, the fear of not being believed. She knew what she heard, and the landlord's casual denial only made the source of the sound feel more sinister and unknown. Driven by a mix of desperation and dread, Clara turned to her laptop. The screen's glow casting long, dancing shadows across her face as she dug into the building's history. Old news articles and forgotten city records hinted at a past the landlord had conveniently omitted. With a thumping heart, she crept out of her apartment and up the stairs to Unit 4B. The air in the hallway felt colder here, stagnant and heavy. She pressed her ear against the peeling paint of the door, straining to hear anything beyond the frantic beat of her own pulse. For a moment, there was nothing but an unnerving absolute silence from within. Her curiosity overpowering her fear, she knelt down, her eye drawn to the tarnished brass peephole. She peered through the distorted lens and saw only a sliver of a dark, empty room. But then, a shape moved through the gloom, something indistinct and unnaturally stooped. At that exact moment, the dragging sound erupted directly on the other side of the door, deafeningly loud and violent. It was the sound of something immense being heaved across the floorboards. It stopped as abruptly as it began, plunging the hallway back into a shocking, profound silence. Clara scrambled backward, a silent scream caught in her throat as she stared at the door, her face a mask of pure terror. She fled back to the perceived safety of her own apartment, her hands trembling as she fumbled with the deadbolt, sliding it firmly into place. She leaned against the door, taking deep, shuddering breaths, trying to convince herself it was over. But as the adrenaline began to fade, a new sound reached her ears, faint but unmistakable. From the apartment above, the dragging had started again, a slow, patient, and rhythmic scrape. She was locked in her apartment, but she knew, with chilling certainty, that she was not alone. Because some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, they're meant to be survived.